It's Black, the Monitor. Of the Morning Brew live on NTN. We're coming to you from the GIS studios this morning. Today is Monday, the 21st of September 2020, and we're bringing you the latest news, the latest developments coming from the government of St. Lucia today. Earlier, we had just before we came into the weekend, we heard a statement from Government Minister, the Parliamentary Representative for Soufrière-Fonsac, the Honourable Herod Stanislas, and he's also the Minister for Planning, speaking and providing a statement on the housing development within the Peters management area. And know that there was much concern with regard to development in that area, and he addresses and provides some understanding, clarity to the situation. I do invite you later on during your day, when you have some free time, to sit down and listen to the Honourable Minister, to what he has to say on that matter. So just allay any concerns to that effect. We also have an update from the Ministry of Education. Earlier this month, the Minister, Honourable Dr. Gail Rigobert, approved a number of vocational training and certification programs as prescribed by the St. Lucia Council for Technical Programs, and prescribed by the St. Lucia Council for Technical and Vocational Training, Education and Training. So we have the details to that, what it means for you, and how you can benefit from this latest sign-off. Also, CAMDU reassesses its role as a key decision maker in the education sector amid COVID-19 challenges. And the government of Taiwan lends support to the upkeep of Grosley, more specifically the Rodney Bay area. We have the details to those stories and more coming up after this break. And also, if you've been following the National Arts Festival, which is being held this year between 2020 to 2021 in virtual format, the first series being Poetry Live of Voices of the Underground. We saw the third episode airing last night, featuring a female poet, Naomi Grandison, and it was a very wonderful and refreshing display on her part, performance on her part. So also that's something you can take a look at later on in your day. So do stay tuned for that. We want to remind you we are still under a state of emergency. It's still September. We are expecting to have parliamentary proceedings later on this week, but in the meantime, we encourage you to observe the protocols that are standing. Continue to use a mask if you're going into an establishment. Once you're heading out the door, boarding a bus, what have you, going to school, ensure that you have your mask on. And also the use of hand sanitizer, washing your hands with soap and water, observing the 6-foot distance as much as possible. We're getting back into the groove of things. Our society is resuming. But remember, this is a new normal, and we are being confronted with a pandemic, and everyone needs to do their part to mitigate any risk of contracting this very deadly virus. So far, no one in St. Lucia has succumbed to COVID-19, and we continue to hope and pray that we continue to benefit from this very favorable circumstance. We've had cases so far, and aside from those that have been repatriated, we've had a 100% recovery rate here on island. So we are very thankful, very grateful for that. And if you continue doing your part, especially as we reopen our borders, as we continue business, we are heavily dependent on the travel tourism. And if we continue to do our part, we will continue to remain safe as possible. So stay tuned for the news, the latest updates coming from the government of St. Lucia, coming right after this break.
What's in the food you're eating? Do you really even know? All the chemicals and hormones used to accelerate their growth. All the artificial flavoring, sweeteners and colors too. We consume and we don't spare a thought for the damage that they'll do. No, think about the children. Think about the children. children. How will we save them? Chemicals and GMOs are not the solution. Use organic and join.
Excessive agrochemical use, additives, and genetically modified foods are harmful to health and the environment. Join the good food revolution. Grow, buy, and consume organic. A message from Rise St. Lucia and the Ministry of Sustainable Development with funding from the GEF Small Grants Program, UNDP.
The good food revolution.
When a hurricane is approaching, safety of life and the preservation of livelihoods is most important. We should take heed. To help optimize your farm's hurricane season preparation, create a printed list of extended family, veterinarians, employees, and their families, your local farm services agency office, utility companies, and local extension officers should you require assistance after the storm. Purchase batteries for flashlights and lanterns and have enough on standby. Stock up on healthcare supplies and feed for animals receiving supplemental feeds, enough to last for 1 to 2 weeks. Feed stores may not be open for business for a week or more after a storm. Ensure generators, chainsaws, and other equipment are in working order. And stock up on fuel and lubricants. Stock up on fence repair materials such as wire, posts, and staples for repairing fences that may get damaged during the storm. Remember, this is the hurricane season, and we should be prepared. A message brought to you by the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, Physical Planning, Natural Resources, and Cooperatives.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. This is the Morning Brew live on NTN. We're coming to you from the GIS studios, bringing you the latest news from the government of St. Lucia. This is the hurricane season. We're in the midst of the Atlantic hurricane season, and you should be prepared. We hope that you have ensured that your documents are safely tucked away. Also, you have your foodstuffs ready and set to go should there be an emergency. Your canned stuff, your dry foods are ready to go in a box somewhere. And also, we do hope that you are considering as well that COVID-19, the pandemic, is not going to go away if we are suddenly confronted with a potential hurricane system, weather system. So try your best as much as possible to continue protecting yourself. Put up as many barriers as possible to protect yourself and your family from both eventualities, both potential outcomes. We continue for this morning just to let you know competency standards in 10 occupational areas developed earlier this month. The Minister for Education, Innovation, Gender Relations and Sustainable Development, Honorable Dr. Gail Rigobert, did approve a number of vocational training and certificate programs prescribed by the St. Lucia Council for Technical and Vocational Education and Training, that is SLCT VET. These include locally developed competency standards in the occupational area of event production, that is Production Assistant Level 2. According to TVET, this occupational standard was developed by the respective lead body and validated by the Industry Advisory Committee in preparation for training and certification towards the award of a national vocational qualification in the area of event production, which will be offered nationally and regionally. Competency standards in 9 other occupational areas, as requested by the Department of Education, were also developed with standards validated by the various industry advisory committees. These areas include building construction, drafting, level 1 to 3, motor vehicle engine system, levels 1 and 2, general construction, level 3, manufacture sewn products, level 2, developing a new and existing business enterprise, level 3, and healthcare services dietary assistant, level 1. In signing off on these programs, Honorable Dr. Rigobert congratulated the St. Lucia Council for Technical and Vocational Education and Training and the Department of the Education Unit for developing and launching the new National Vocational Qualification Subjects and the Caribbean Vocational Qualification Subjects as well. She did indicate that all of these subjects, you may well appreciate, are critical areas in which we have long lamented the dearth of expertise. End of quote, Dr. Rigobert said. One such example, she continued to state, in which capacity has been lacking was that of events production. Over the years, we have seen St. Lucia become a major hub for festivals and events, with government making substantial investments with significant benefits being derived by a number of sectors. And with this new program, it is our desire that she stated that this will now be expanded beyond the artists, the entertainers, sound providers, service providers, vendors, and others to event managers to help produce these activities. She stated, the global pandemic COVID-19 has posed a challenge to not just the health and economy of St. Lucia, but the education sector as well. However, she believes that amidst the challenges, there are always opportunities. The minister said the TVET program is, quote, manufacturing sewn product level 2 and developing a new existing business enterprise level 3 were particularly important. As she stated, we have seen the ingenuity of St. Lucians in creating masks and other apparel as a result of COVID-19 and creating job opportunities for themselves in other areas. Therefore, it is my hope that our people take advantage of these opportunities, these programs, to further enhance their skills and competencies. St. Lucia subscribes to the UN SDG number 4 2015, which advocates for inclusive and equitable quality education and promotes lifelong learning opportunities for all. The government of St. Lucia and the Department of Education continue to live up to the promise to develop technical vocational education and training in a multifaceted system of training opportunities for secondary and post-secondary level that will contribute to raising professional competencies and standards and various programs linked to gaining real employment. The Technical and Vocational Education and Training TVET is understood as comprising education, training and skills development relating to a wide range of occupational fields, production and services and livelihoods. So please take note of this. The Minister for Education, Innovation, Gender Relations and Sustainable Development, Honorable Dr. Gail Rigobert, signs off on new subject areas for the technical and vocational aspects. That's competency standards in 10 occupational areas having been developed. We continue with news this morning. CAMDU reassesses its role as a key decision maker in the education sector amid COVID-19 challenges. The Curriculum and Materials Development Unit, CAMDU, in the Ministry of Education, Innovation, Gender Relations and Sustainable Development wrapped up a week-long strategic planning forum with a focus on the impact of COVID-19 on the education sector. Officer in charge of CAMDU, that is Gianetti George, says that the forum drafted the work plan for the department and assessed resource management issues. We go to our first clip for the morning from Ms. Gianetti George.
It is very important for us to remain current as we are one of the premier agencies responsible for instruction and curriculum development and implementation in the education system. So as such, it is necessary for us from time to time to set time aside for us to ensure that we are following our plan and where necessary for us to create a new plan. So during this week, we participated in a number of activities, including team building activities, because we needed to ensure that we maintain our synergies and to maintain the team spirit and so forth.
COVID-19, Ms. George stated, dictates that the department re-examines its role and modifies services in keeping with the blended learning approach that the Ministry of Education has taken in response to the pandemic.
It is important for us to think about the different types of modalities and approaches that can be used for instruction and to see how we can modify this to fit our local context. So part of our strategic week involve us thinking about the creation of some of these approaches that would be most appropriate given our context and the resources that we have available.
The participating curriculum officers drew on their years of experience as educators and best practices to chart the way forward for CAMDU. Kentilia Louis is the Theatre Arts Curriculum Officer.
As an officer who's been here for 10 years, it's always good, to come back to the basics and make sure that your perception of what your department is about actually is in keeping with what is needed by your clients. And so we've recognized, we did a SWOT analysis to make sure that we knew what our strengths are, weaknesses. And so now we are trying our best to see within this time, can we come up with a game plan that will help us to ensure that we are the most effective unit possible.
That was a Theatre Arts Curriculum Officer at CAMDU, Ms. Kentilia Louis. The second clip we had for the morning being Janetti George, Officer in charge of CAMDU. The exercise was held at the CAMDU offices situated at Goodlands Castries. More news, a St. Lucian philanthropist residing in Canada has made a donation of supplies to the Ministry of Equity, Social Justice, Local Government and Empowerment for distribution to citizens adversely affected by the economic fallout of COVID-19. We have the details in this report.
Founded in Canada by St. Lucian Naomi Thomas Jules, Girls United Foundation, GUF, is committed to advancing the well-being of girls and women. Initially an organization concerned with the struggles of women afflicted with sickle cell anemia, Naomi, conscious of the plight that COVID-19 has brought to many in St. Lucia, marshaled resources and launched a chapter in her home community of Micoud. Nintus McGrath is the president.
The vision is to assist in enriching women and girls in education, health, professional development, and mentorship, including leadership skills. They also provide scholarships, tutoring, mentorship programs. Some of the projects involve the backpack and laptop drive, computer labs projects, advocacy for women and girls, family support groups, housing referrals, mental health, workshops, healthy eating, nutrition training, employment readiness, and financial literacy.
Girls United is broadening its reach by including all who are in need. The foundation recently presented a variety of materials to the Ministry of Equity, Social Justice, Local Government and Empowerment. Permanent Secretary Velda Joseph says the ministry works with a number of target groups, and in the last 6 months, there has been a steady rise in the number of people seeking assistance.
From accommodation needs to housing, to food, to educational, it's a wide range of needs. And I've often said to people when they say to us, look at the resources that you have and see what you can do. I said, are you asking persons to choose between food and housing? That is difficult because these are basic needs that persons require. These are things that we need to assist persons in achieving. And so when we see the efforts of partners such as Girls United Foundation, we are very, very pleased that you have taken on the mantle, you have recognized the needs, and you have gone out there trying to source assistance and receiving that type of assistance on behalf of persons who need it. I am sure these persons will be highly appreciative, as we are, for the generous donation that they will be receiving.
The supplies were gained through a virtual COVID-19 fundraiser hosted by the foundation. Deputy Director of Social Transformation in the Ministry of Equity, Jim Xavier, assured that the distribution would be equitable.
I want to thank profusely the Girls United Foundation. As PS indicated, we are inundated with requests, variety of requests for food items, for clothing, for educational supplies. And as you know, government doesn't have the resources to supply everyone. And so we are very happy when organizations, NGOs can come forward and make that contribution. It goes a long way. We want to give you the commitment that the items will be fairly distributed, equitably distributed, because we've heard elsewhere that items were received and they did not go to the persons who needed them the most. But we are going to ensure that your efforts are going to be well rewarded and that the persons who are going to receive the items are going to be most deserving of it.
Founder of Girls United Foundation, Naomi Thomas Jules, addressed the ceremony virtually from Canada and pledged continued assistance to her homeland. From the Government Information Service, Lisa Joseph reports in.
Thanks for that report, Lissa. And we continue more with giving. The government of Taiwan has lent support to the Grosse Lake Constituency Council in its efforts to the upkeep of the environment in Rodney Bay, Grosse Lake. We have the details in this report. The Embassy of Taiwan to St. Lucia has made available EC $5,000 for the procurement of garbage bins for the Rodney Bay area. Grosse Lake Town Mayor James Edwin received the check for this sum from Ambassador His Excellency Peter Chen on Friday, 18th September 2020, in a brief ceremony. The ambassador was pleased to support this venture, particularly as St. Lucia recoups from the effects of the pandemic, welcoming visitors once more to the island.
On behalf of the people and government of Taiwan, I feel very honored to attend the ceremony today to showcase our commitment to the people and government of St. Lucia. As the world gradually reopens in the wake of COVID-19, it's important to remind the world the beauty of St. Lucia and Grosse Lake City. To show the world that Grosse Lake residents is getting ready to welcome visitors with open arms and clean streets.
Also on hand Friday was parliamentary representative for the area, Honorable Leonard Mantut. He expressed gratitude to the government and people of the friendly nation for their continued shows of support to St. Lucia. He implored patrons to use the bins that will be placed at strategic locations in Rodney Bay.
I want to take this opportunity to make an appeal to my people to utilize those bins properly and ensure that we see a marked improvement in the environment, not only to make Ambassador Shen and his staff more comfortable, and it makes a statement about us as a people and how we observe proper hygiene practices, good health, and show a level of respect and appreciation for our environment.
Parliamentary representative for Grosse Lake, Leonard Mantut. For the Government Information Service, I am Jessie Leonce reporting. And thank you very much once again to the government and people of Taiwan for their continued contributions and support of St. Lucia. This latest one being $5,000 being given to the Grosse Lake Constituency Council for the installment of bins and other material apparatus to help in the upkeep of the environment in Rodney Bay. Thanks once again. We take a break now. When we come back, we have more on the Morning Brew.
When a hurricane is approaching, safety of life and the preservation of livelihoods is most important. We should take heed. Fill 5-gallon buckets and other containers with water prior to the storm. You'll need it to water transplants in the greenhouse if you have lost power. Mulch as many bare rows as possible before the storm. Mulching will help prevent erosion and wind damage and will also minimize soil splashing into the crop canopy, which can cause disease. Rip mature crops such as tomatoes and melons because they will split after heavy rains. Pick coconuts and consider harvesting cut flowers right before the storm as they will be easily damaged by rain and wind. Fortify any field trellises so you don't lose the crops they are supporting. Wherever possible, unhang trellis plants and place them to lay flat on the ground. Make sure tractors and other equipment and supplies are secured. Don't leave market baskets, picking crates, dip tape, or irrigation pipes in the field or laying around where they can become missiles in high winds or get washed away by flood waters. And stock up on gas for generators and other needed farm equipment. Remember, this is the hurricane season, and we should be prepared. A message brought to you by the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, Physical Planning, Natural Resources, and Cooperatives.
St. Lucia ka registre vermin corona ek I ka fait mouvement ek an chay vitesse tan chaque canef ka kouye pour vigilance publique la fait wolo parler en place publique kon bol en main base ti boutique changer distance sociale 6 pieds hot yon a lot. I ka travay tan, si ou senti ko pa cordial, quarantine ko, pas twe contact epi lot, en ka ou te pe exposé. Si an ekouye, free 11 ou ben n'importe clinique yo pou. Le peyi a dimi akle. Sa vle di, les supermarket, pharmacie, epi ATM, yo aksesab avan se tet swe. Peyi a kle en plein, sa vle di tout bagay fermé à 24 heures. Servi protocole comme sorti par bureau indication santé. Nous tout ensemble, ça sauvé vermine corona. Si nous tout servi jidla à toutes les.
Together let us win this war. Saint Lucia be a soldier. Together we can beat this corona.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. You are watching The Morning Brew. We're winding down with our updates for today. Just want to remind you of a statement, the latest statement coming from Cabinet, Honorable Minister Herod Stanislaus, speaking on what has been a point of contention. Some persons very concerned about a housing development within the Pitons management area. And on Friday, I believe it was, he did address it and brought some clarity to the situation, just emphasizing that the government of St. Lucia currently is ensuring that this development, which was approved by a previous administration, is in keeping. They're just ensuring that it is in keeping with the guidelines of the Pitons management area. So efforts have been ongoing to ensure that the development which was approved by a previous administration remains within the guidelines of the PMA. We round off our updates for the morning with the outreach report that we aired prior to Sunday, when another featured poet was put on a display, went on the outreach stage. Miss Naomi Grandison, she spoke to us on Friday. She's always here every Thursday as a representative from the Bureau of Health Education. She is a health and family life educator there. And this Friday, she came through to speak to us in a different capacity as a poet who will be featured on the Outreach Voices of the Underground Poetry Live series, and she did a wonderful job. Again, I implore you, when you do get some time during the course of the day, to go look at another exciting, thrilling episode of Poetry Live Voices of the Underground. The Cultural Development Foundation is doing a really fabulous job at putting this. I know some of the geniuses behind this work being Drinia Frederick, Bradley Lacan. In terms of production, we have Always Limited. They're all putting their best foot forward for this production, and it's being held in virtual format for understandable reasons. We have the pandemic. A lot of events have been forced into that direction, but they've really done a wonderful job so far. 3 episodes into the first series for Outreach. Just to go to just give you a snippet of what you can expect before you go into the episode. We have a report on the interview that we did on Friday with Naomi. So take a look.
On September 20th, 2020, the Cultural Development Foundation will release another awe-inspiring episode of Poetry Live, Voices of the Underground, featuring poet Naomi Grandison. The 3 pieces she will recite are entitled Mother Lucia, Heart, and Responsibility.
As I said, I have 3 different areas for the performance, but generally, my focus is on raising consciousness and self-awareness. So, self-love, consciousness of self, and an appreciation to our connection to each other, to the earth, and to our responsibility here.
Naomi commended the Cultural Development Foundation for putting on this quality showcase of women poets in St. Lucia, while at the same time facilitating the involvement of many other individuals from various creative professions.
You come in, there's a makeup artist. You have somebody doing your hair. You have somebody consulting on what you should wear and how you should put it on, and to assist you with putting it on so it looks a certain way. You have a soundsman, you have a video producer, you have the director who would give you an input as to how to do certain things, you know? And just the level of professionalism, it was an amazing experience for me that I felt I have been part of productions and they have been good. But the putting it together, even in asking me where is it that I get inspiration from, and finding a way to fit us into that environment for the interview. It was a wonderful experience. That's me.
Tune in this Sunday for the latest episode of Poetry Live, Voices of the Underground on the CDF Facebook page, HTS and NTN from 7 p.m. From the Government Information Service, I am Jessie Leonce reporting.
And a wonderful episode it was. Again, I encourage you to take a look at it. Naomi was really the cake topper for this episode. As usual, we had Tracy and Hanson Narcissus on air, just bringing you, the presenters, bringing you from segment to segment of another wonderful program coming from the Cultural Development Foundation. Well, we've rounded off in terms of our lead stories from the government of St. Lucia for today, Monday, the 21st of September. We encourage you to stay tuned for more programming from NTN. A gentle reminder, one of the latest points of contention for persons, concern for persons was a housing development within the Peters management area, and the planning minister, the Honorable Harold Stanislaus, and parliamentary representative for Soufrière for Saint-Jacques did bring some clarity to the matter, indicating that the government of St. Lucia is ensuring that this development is in keeping with the guidelines of the Peters management area, as they were not the administration to have given clearance for this property as an approved developer. So do go and take a look at that statement by the minister if you have been hearing about it and are concerned, and naturally as a citizen yourself. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Want to remind you, let you know that Parliament will be convened on the 29th of September and the 1st of October. Am I right, Naomi? Yes, so the 29th of September and the 1st of October 2020. We know that the state of emergency legally in the Honorable House expires on the last day of September. So we encourage you to stay tuned, keep abreast, and watch Parliament. Listen to what is happening, what is transpiring, and what decisions are being made. It is your right, it is your responsibility. My name is Jessie Leon, signing off for now. Do stay tuned for more programming here on NTN.